Pool, and then we see the Saw ban. I talked about Saw so much so far. I really want to see him. We're not going to be able to do this game just because of the ban. He's really strong, both weapon power and CP.
Yeah, we really should just clarify here. This is not a troll ban. They are not throwing this away.
Saw is actually very strong right now. Yeah, on the current update, Saw is incredibly effective, especially the CP Saw does so much damage, but it is going to be a pedal locked in. Now, we saw Crystal Pedal earlier. We've seen Dienzio and I Love our Old School both playing a weapon pedal previously, so who knows where that one's going to go. That's a flexible pick that they have picked up to leave questions for Cloud9 to try and figure out.
Yeah, it will most likely go to the lane just because CP pedal is not as strong because of the Frostburn changes. The weapon power in lane is still very strong. The only thing is she has a little bit of a weak early game, especially against Vox. The thing for me on Cloud9's side, they have item picks they can go for. Grace Churn Walker, we talked about how Gabe Vizzle, how strong he is of a player on that captain role, and Churn Walker would be a great pick here.
And now, just to clarify and explain, we talked about the Frostburn changes. I don't think we fully explained why it's not as good on pedal anymore. We've kind of briefly touched on it. The Frostburn now only procs the slow off of ability damage. You have to deal damage with an ability, and Pedal's Munions are not considered to be an ability damage. If you get them, like the Bramble Seed or the Spontaneous Combustion, that would proc the Frostburn slow, but the regular Munion damage that she does not proc the slow any longer. That's why it's not as good.
Yeah, the basic attacks from those minions not going to activate that. The Arden locked in, so we're not going to see the Churnwalker coming out from Cloud9, unfortunately, unless that's some kind of weapon power Arden, or we see a
we could only dream.
Crazy stuff could happen, but it is just going to be a Koshka locked in.
I mean, the Arden is an extremely strong captain this update because of all the health changes, because the buff that were coming onto him in this update, and it's something that Gabe Vizzle played in the past very frequently, especially with Vox. They play this composition very well, where Vox goes very aggressive, Old School plays to his strength, and then the Vanguard comes, supports him, allows him to be on the front line, and then the Koshka is a common pick for Joseph to try and play aggressive. The only thing is, Cruel is still open, and they could pick it up against it. They go for the Reza. This I gotta talk about this. It's such a strong pick in 2.9, both because of the buffs that happened to him, and because Aftershock is an extremely strong item right now in the game, because it does a health percentage per proc when it does the ability damage. So Reza got a huge buff, and this is going to be a very strong pick if he's able to survive just a bit against the Koshka.
Also, picking up Reza into the only player that's won with Reza in the Vainglory 8 as well. So I'm excited to see how T-Tigers does with this one. How are we expecting this game to play out? Who's going to be aggressive in the early game? How's this one going to play?
Both. They're both going to be so aggressive. I mean, you have a Reza and a Koshka. Koshka obviously has a little bit more early strength. The Reza needs to get a little bit of farm before he really comes into his own with the Aftershock being completed. So I do give the early game edge to the side of Cloud9, but T-Tigers on Reza is something I'm incredibly excited to see. We always we talk about how we want to see him on playmaking heroes. Reza may be a troublemaker, but he is a playmaker as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to see how this one is going to pan out with the Reza pick going up against the Koshka. Very aggressive coming out from our jungles. Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. Let us know whether you're supporting Tribe or whether you're supporting Cloud9. It's time to jump into our first game of our North American Vainglory 8 split number 2 and pass it over to our casters.
Welcome to 2.9.1. It's Cloud9 versus Tribe here on the Halcyon Fold for our first Split 2 North American matchup. Dalsy here, joined by The Source to kick things off in this series.
Yeah, glad to be here. Glad to see the new CP items come in. I'm super happy to see Reza because I love Reza, and when I was getting back into Vainglory, I was spamming Reza nonstop, so fun to see him in competitive.
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorite heroes by far. Ever since his release, have really enjoyed playing him, and it's great to see him find his home. It's one of the top junglers here in Update 2.9. Means that Dienzio are going to be piloting a weapon power petal here, which has seen so much popularity as of late. We'll have to see how Cloud9 do. They've come back from Las Vegas, unfortunately unable to claim championship title, I guess, against TSM. Maybe looking to bully Tribe here. This is the fight breaks out. T-Tigers trying to do damage as he jumps through Old School, but he can't find the kill. First blood to T-Tigers, and now Dienzio's trying desperately to get one back, but he cannot. It's 2 for the kitty cat, but he won't go for 3. 2 kills for Cloud9 in the early skirmish.
a difficult place for them to be fighting this early in the game. I Love Joseph on the Koshka is just going to do a huge amount of damage just in small condensed areas, and it opens up C9 to pick up the initial 2 kills, get themselves off to a very good early start, and this should just set them in a good pace to kind of pressure Zio endlessly within the lane and kind of shut down T-Tigers before he gets online.
Not only that, or just that, actually, absolutely that source is the fact that, like you mentioned, he can pressure T-Tigers. This matchup, the Reza into Koshka, can be a little bit treacherous in the early game. Now that Joseph has this this early start, it's even worse for T-Tigers. You just see Celsia melt in front of our eyes. The kill goes over to Gabe Vizzle. T-Tigers going to desperately try and steal away this Treant before seeing if he can't escape, but this Troublemaker unlikely to be able to do so. Does manage to get away for now. Maybe Cloud9 just ignore him so that they can secure camps in the middle of the map instead. Cloud9 in a very prosperous position.
Yeah, Gabe was on the search, but that just shows how much early burst the side of Cloud9 has. Arden does a little bit of deceptive damage. Blood for Blood is pretty good for just, in the early stages where no one's got those resistances, the health is still pretty low. And until T-Tigers gets the Aftershock online and be a little bit more cooldown reduction, it's just going to be hard for him to be able to fight because he wants to take these long and drawn out fights. Can't really do that if I Love Joseph is bursting you to, less than half health or any of your, out.
Once we hit level 6 source, there will be some interesting dynamics between the Koshka and the Reza. Of course, Never Form Detonation, Reza's ultimate, makes you invulnerable, so it means you can dodge out the Yummy Captive Frenzy with a well-timed ultimate. I'll have to see if that ever comes into play. It is going to be T-Tigers looking for a bit of aggression onto Joseph. The burst is there, but T-Tigers seems to be losing this fight as he decides to disengage. Everyone on Tribe roaming down Cloud9 as well, just in case this fight was to go any other way. Now Tribe securing position over the middle of the map. They want this Elder Treant and they want kills as well. Going to be Dienzio looking to try and find some damage onto Gabe Vizzle, but I think Cloud9 have managed to escape, and instead this central Treant will be the prize for Tribe, unless they can find an old school rotating dangerously. It is going to be Gabe Vizzle in the middle of it all. Joseph re-engages, Dienzio low, very squishy, but they're able to find the kill onto the Kitty Cat. T-Tigers finds that. It will be Tribe continuing to put the pressure on to Old School. It's a double for the Troublemaker. Reza looking for a triple, can't quite find it, but an ace for Tribe.
Yeah, and now Tribe has basically undone all of that initial early game. Those first 2 minutes are basically been reverted. Now T-Tigers should be able to get online, at a reasonable pace, and that was a difficult position for Cloud9 to be in. They felt more confident than they probably should have been. Tribe kind of showed a united front. They just had to group up, move into the jungle, and with I Love Joseph at about half health, it was a dangerous proposition.
Certainly was. The advantage that Celsia brings to those early game fights is that healing with the Sigil. And like you mentioned, if T-Tigers can get a bit more of an extended brawl onto this Koshka, can find himself in a adventurous position. Now, 3-3, gold even between the two sides here. This series showing that these teams are fairly evenly matched, at least as far as early aggression is concerned.
Yeah, and T-Tigers picked up the extra, or at least picked up his chronograph before finishing the Aftershock. Wait, no. Item builds, confused. I just got really confused about item build. I saw the extra heavy prism, was like, yeah, no, he's picking up the extra cooldown reduction so that he'll be good before he builds his Aftershock. I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. But so he's getting closer to being
typically it's just more crystal power. Aftershock doesn't offer a huge amount of crystal power, so what's been popularized is this heavy prism to go with the Aftershock before you build the Aftershock, which just gives you a huge power spike when Aftershock is completed, and also puts you ahead if you want to go into your Broken Myth next. So we do have a pause going on. It was said before Source that one of Cloud9's players was experiencing some internet issues. It is Joseph, and I assume that this pause is probably in relation to that. However, Cloud9 were offered the chance to substitute a player before the game started. They will have to play with Joseph for the rest of the game, and eventually a point will be hit. If Joseph can't fix his internet connection, the unpause will just have to come through, and Cloud9 will be forced to play with it.
Yeah, and that makes this series a little bit more difficult for Cloud9 overall because they're coming off the loss at Mobile Masters. You know, the rivalry between them and TSM, you know, goes a long way, but that would have been really good for them to kind of shut down TSM and keep the momentum they have going into the World Championship. They're already gonna be there, but they want to be coming in as strong as humanly possible. Now, Tribe, pretty far behind in terms of points when in terms of making the World Championship, but anything they can do to kind of solidify this roster, get them in, a better position, and they're playing with a sub. This could spell disaster for Cloud9 going forward if this kind of, starts to affect their mental game and they start racking up losses.
It is Super Sub Celsius though, so, if there was ever to be a sub to be had, it would be Super Sub Celsius to come in and rescue you. Playing this Lyra, fairly strong in the current meta. It's fairly interesting to see how the captain meta has evolved in 2.9.1. Typically, the captain role, the least affected from what I've seen. There's not as many drastic changes. Lyra, Lance, Arden, very strong in the current meta. Catherine is still good, perhaps not as prioritized, and Finn in the same fashion. But there's this Churnwalker hero, and I know that Cloud9 have been favoring the Churnwalker. I've been very excited to get my hands on North America Today source, because if any region out of EU and NA were to pull out something new and exciting and innovative, it would be North America. And so if I don't have a Churnwalker by the end of the day, I'm going to riot.
Well, let's hope it comes from Cloud9. They're a team in a position to experiment, to work on more strategies, to expand their team's horizons. I hope to see it. I've been playing, a little bit of Churnwalker. I don't think I've lost on Churnwalker. Not to say that that's, super impressive, but it's, it's a very fun character to play. I've been able to just kind of spam games on him and really start to get a sense of how much playmaking potential is there. And in the hands of somebody far greater than myself, somebody like Gabe Vizzle, I anticipate it will make massive plays.
Well, we'll have to find out. Not today, not just now, but perhaps later on in the evening we can get some Churnwalker. Aftershock has been completed for T-Tiger's Reza. A huge power spike, and he's moving up to lane. He has that Neverform detonation online as well, ready to go and burst someone down. For those unfamiliar with Reza's kit, his main damage output is in fact his passive, which is Fire Starter. He applies that via his A and his ultimate, and applies the prop that can be bursted down for huge amounts of damage. It's his highest CP scaling ability, and T-Tigers can really set up some flashy plays with that. DNC though, in a bit of a risky position, as it is going to be T-Tigers jumping over the wall with the ultimate, looking for old school. His auto attack's applying that passive, but he's very low. And look at that, Dienzio, he just drops to T-Tigers. Joseph, in fact, now it's T-Tigers in trouble as well, as he will go down. 2 kills to Cloud9. And Tribe not able to execute on their dive there. Cloud9 just ready for it.
Yeah, I like the aggression from Tribe. I like that they were looking for a play like that, but they split their damage. There might have been an opportunity to instantly take Old School or Gabe Vizzle out if they'd been able to focus that damage onto a single target. They don't, and I Love Joseph shows up for the cleanup. And it's very difficult when there's a Koshka, who's going to show up behind your team, especially when T-Tiger's open with the Netherform detonation. That ability was off the board. He wants to be up in their faces. He wants to kind of bait as much ability damage, as many cooldowns out of I Love Joseph as humanly possible. And when you kind of open with what is essentially your trump card, they're going to tell their team, like, everyone's going to know that that's already been used, and I Love Joseph is going to clean up fights.
But now, I have to see how Tribe are able to kind of recover, throwing away some of their comeback positioning. Joseph, a very good spot at the moment, as he's also completed his Aftershock. We do see T-Tigers securing himself some reflex blocks all around for the Tribe roster, so that they can prevent what is a Yummy Captain Frenzy shutdown. Also, with Gabe Vizzle hitting level 6 now, it means that ultimate from the Arden is online, can really change the playing field. I have to see how Tribe do decide to play around this. Celsius has the components for a Crucible, but he's not quite there yet. And even when the Crucible was built, how do you prioritize it? There's a wait for it for the silence on Vox. There's the Gauntlet as well from this Arden. Going to be very interesting to see what he decides to prioritize that Crucible on.
Yeah, Cloud9 has picked a composition that gives them the ability to dictate item builds. It's one of those things where if there's enough crowd control, if there's enough of these big, massive teamfight ultimates that require you to need a reflex block, you throw build, you delay builds. You also set some of the mentality behind who goes in. The moment they see Gabe Vizzle stepping forward, do they immediately pop their reflex blocks in fear of the gauntlet coming down? How many of these do you prioritize? Where do you time them? Communication between Zelsier and the rest of the team is going to be huge, and it's a sub. So how quickly they're able to kind of pick that up over the course of the series is going to be huge, because I don't see Cloud9 stopping, picking compositions that are just going to dictate pace of the game.
You currently see Old School going towards what is the typical Vox build of the previous update. This Poison Shiv, Sorrow Blade combination, likely to finish it off with a breaking point for that ramp-up damage. You often see Voxes do this when there's a Lyra on the other side. However, crit has been prioritized. Goldminer has been started up. That's a silence going out. Doesn't connect. Gauntlet's laid down, and Dienzio trying to lay down damage. Whoa! Goldminer stolen away by T-Tigers, and Joseph will lose his life to the Reza as well. Old School now the target, trying to escape, but he will fall to Zelsier. Tribe with a huge play around the Goldminer.
I didn't think T-Tigers was actually going for the steal. I thought the Netherform detonation was really just to reposition in the fight and be able to close in on the backline of C9. But T-Tigers, he kills two birds with one stone. It was also a well-timed play from the side of Tribe. They were able to do it right as the gold miner was getting low and people were peeling off to be able to body up the members of Tribe, and no one was actually DPSing the gold miner. So that comes out ahead with about a 2k gold advantage for the side of Tribe, and now we're getting to that point where Reza is going to start to get really scary. If he's able to get into the backline, put pressure onto Old School, if at least there's a little bit of peel coming out from the Lyra, or at least better repositioning, the Arcane Path sets up so that T-Tigers doesn't actually have to use the Netherform detonation to get in the backline, we can see Old School going down very, very quickly in these fights.
Going to be a rush onto the turret by Cloud9. Tribe trying their best to prevent it from going down. Joseph taking a lot of damage. Turret does fall, but here comes T-Tigers and instantly deletes that Koshka Neverform onto Old School. He's just dead. No way he escapes. A double for this 5-2-2 Reza, and it will be just Tribe pushing down the lane, looking to secure a turret of their own.
I don't think Cloud9 was prepared for how much damage just initially came out. Also, they stuck around the turret, took a little bit of extra damage off of that. I Love Joseph was super low, went into the backline to try and kill Zeo, and couldn't finish the job. Now another turret is going to go over to the side of Tribe. They should get away from this. Oh, no.
That's a yummy Captain Frenzy onto T-Tigers. He doesn't have the energy either for any of his abilities, so he is dead. Will be the sacrificial lamb for the side of Tribe. Going down a Dragon's Eye second item for this Reza. Very interesting. Dragon's Eye gives you 85 crystal power, and over time stacks up. So every second you're in combat, 20 extra crystal power. Cloud9, very aggressive. Instantly take the turret. It is just trade after trade here. Have to see if Tribe decide to progress further and look for a fight. It is going to be Dienzio diving forward, but instantly Joseph jumps on top. Petal deleted, very low HP. T-Tigers will not look to fight here. It is just going to be a Tribe allowing Cloud9 to escape. The Dragon's Eye is an interesting item on Reza. Can stack it very effectively up to 9 stacks. We'll have to see if it is the most effective item, however, for T-Tigers.
I definitely feel it fits where Broken Myth was in Reza's old build. If you got into these longer and longer engagements, you already have a very high amount of burst. You're a very mobile character. The moment that you get in range of enemy heroes, you have the potential to drop a lot of squishies to half health. You combine that with what Broken Myth used to bring to you, and really, the Pierce was part of it, but you liked the stacking. I think with the Dragon's Eye, if T-Tigers goes now into a little bit more of a defensive build, and he really plays on surviving the team fights for long periods of time and having those 9 stacks, he will do a lot of damage, especially to Joseph and Old School. That last play was a little bit unfortunate. Zelsier used the fountain, but the timing was a little bit off there by maybe a second or two. He was looking for that last-minute heal onto Zeo. Zeo is critting really hard with the double tornado trigger, and the fight is on.
Ooh, fight breaking out around the gold miner. I think it was just a bait from Tribe. Have to see how they play this one. It is going to be Yummy Captain Frenzy blocked. Dienzio going very low, but look at T-Tigers onto Old School trying to find the kill, and he will be able to snipe it away with a Scorcher. Joseph now going to be the aggressor onto by this Reza, and oh dear, Joseph struggling to escape though. T-Tigers missing his skill shots onto the kitty cat. Will finally find the snipe. There it is, coming on through. T-Tigers has opted to max up his A which gives him 2 extra range from 7 to 9, makes that skill shot very long. If you are opting in for a bit more crystal power, like T-Tigers has done, then can be effective. However, very clever, this minion candy onto the gold miner by Gabe Bizzle. He just went to the shop and purchased it and then plopped it down. Basically says to Tribe you won't be able to get anything other than a teamfight win.
Yeah, also T-Tigers doesn't have the Storm Crown, which used to be a little bit more common on Reza's. It's definitely still there in the recommended, and it makes sense. You do a lot of auto-attacking in between your spells, especially in the early game when you're trying to get out that clear. But with what is more of a team fight build, and here we start to see the defenses being kind of prioritized. He's holding on to his Halcyon Potion as long, or Healing Flask as long as humanly possible. So he has that extra survivability, and T-Tiger just wants to sit in the back line like we saw in that last fight. Old School, he was at less than half health within the first 2 seconds and just got chased for a long time. Yes, he survived and forced T-Tigers to have to back up, but I love Joseph used his combo and the fight is on again.
Fight is on, and it is going to be instantly Dienzio removed from it. Yummy Captain Frenzy blocks. T-Tiger's trying to find some damage, but he's just going too low, and he will fall. 2 Old School, leaving only Zelsia being chased on down by Cloud9. Under his turret, is he safe? Never safe, says Joseph. Zelsia likely to fall in just a second. Maybe not. Just about escapes. There's going to be Cloud9, however, looking to take this choke point turret, and nothing Zelsia can do to stop them. Death time is too long on Dienzio. That will be a 3rd turret going over to Cloud9.
And that was the fight that Cloud9's been looking for, where everything lined up, where there were too many spells, too much crowd control, too much disruption for the side of Tribe to just sort of slowly cycle through some of those reflex blocks, and it opens things up for them. Cloud9's definitely not out of it. They do need to protect Old School more, but if they can just continue to get the jump on the side of Tribe and use those big game-changing ultimates to open up the team fights, especially if they take out Zeo. Zeo was gone before things even really got going.
Right now, we're hitting this stage of the game where level 12s are almost there for everyone. Dienzio looking for his 3rd and final crit item, which would likely be a monocle you would expect on this Pew 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 petal. And T-Tigers almost got his double defensive. However, with no Eve of Harvest, not really sustaining much in the fight. One of the more popular Reza builds would be a Aftershock, a Broken Myth, and then Eve of Harvest just to make yourself a sustained king in the team fights. T-Tigers trying to burst a little bit more with the AMAX. It is going to be another engage, and Dienzio stunned up. Does dive away with the trampoline. T-Tigers re-engages. Dienzio blocks the Yummy Captain Frenzy and will find the kill into T-Tiger. Joseph before going down himself. T-Tigers now looking for Old School. Ramped up 9 Dragon's Eye stacks, but Old School sustaining. The Eve of Harvest means T-Tigers doesn't have any sustain via no Eve of Harvest. That was great English, Dalsey. It is going to be Old School chasing on in, and T-Tigers, whoa, bursts down. Old School, goodbye, my friend. Tribe comes out with a 2-for-1.
I mean, that's what happens when not all of your stacks on Dragon's Eye have decayed, and you can kind of just turn around and land what is the standard Reza combo. I like that team fight from Tribe, the way that they played throughout most of it. They kind of overcommitted. The Kraken have been aggro. They couldn't really stick around for a long amount of time. Just the initial play off of that, again, I think I Love Joseph might want to use the Yummy Cat and Frenzy onto T-Tigers. They keep going for Zeo, but it doesn't matter if T-Tigers is putting it that much pressure onto Old School. And I definitely think we'll see an attempted steal here from I Love Joseph.
Well, there is the Bright Bulwark from Zelsia, which pretty much shuts down any engage onto the Kraken, and she will be unleashed. Such a close game so far, back and forth. 22 kills in only 18 minutes here, Source. Bloodthirsty opponents, and now the Beast, she's onto the fold, is going to be pushing down the lane. We'll have to see which team can get the upper hand. Cloud9 down at the shop. Infusions being refreshed. His flares picked up as well for Gabe Bizzle. They're looking for a flank play by the looks of it. Tribe, will they fall prey to this? Botted out with a flare. There goes the gauntlet, stuns up 2, silences 2 as well. Oh dear, Tribe, they may be in trouble. Here comes the detonation, but it is going to be Dienzio losing his life. T-Tigers trying to escape. Joseph on this kitty cat, but he won't be able to for now as they tag in and out. Zelsia rejoining the Reza, and instead they turn their attention to the turrets, helping the Kraken push down the lane. It may just be a sacrifice to ensure that that choke point is open, and it is. Zelsia likely to lose his life to Joseph and goes down for the ace. But now this Kraken might just have the opportunity to push down an extra turret considering how healthy it was as it entered the base.
Yeah, that was a good team fight for Cloud9. Got the best out of it that they could. I do think that they will lose this initial tower. Actually, it's so hard to tell sometimes. I keep thinking that Old School is just gonna start DPSing more damage, like just laying out more damage, but it is a Vox and there really isn't that much of an acceleration on the damage that's gonna come out, so they will lose one Bane Crystal turret. But that was a good positioning from them. Tried, they had a good sense of what was going on, they knew it was coming. You know, it was a pretty obvious play for Cloud9 to look to try and pick a fight before they have to really defend out the Kraken. But just better play out of Cloud9. The double silence from Old School really set them up.
Certainly did. And as you can see the replay, I think that push down by Tribe knowing that they'd lost the team fight just to secure that choke point turret was actually probably the best that you can hope for at that point, because opening up the choke point ensured that the Kraken would be able to get to the second and the first Vein Crystal turret, which is pretty important. 2 turrets for the push, exactly what Tribe wants. You can see them currently just sitting in their base, not wanting to adventure too deep into their jungle. Do see a Norwave Gauntlet picked up here by Celsia, looking to place it on top of Gabe Vizu, who has that Void battery in his inventory and is actually sitting very close to hitting the amount of gold he needs to purchase an Echo, I believe. Just looking for another 300 gold and he would have an Echo. Pretty important for this Arden. If he can lock down the Petal and the Reza and stop them from being mobile, then the cleanup from Cloud9 could be disastrous for Tribe.
Yeah, and it's difficult with how mobile the side of Tribe is. Yes, their crowd control is fairly low. They pretty much rely on raw damage and good positioning, but they've got a team composition that can do that. You've got speed out of Lyra, you've got the Arcane Passage, you've got the mobility of T-Tigers, trampling from Zeo. There's a lot of abilities to kind of get them out, assuming they stop Gabe Vizzle from getting the initial engage, which is pretty much how every fight has gone.
Well, here's going to be Gabe Vizzle sitting by the shop, looking for this ambient from Old School. And the Echo will come through for him. There she is, now purple, as she is a utility item, this Echo. We'll have to see how it does play out in this fight. If Zelsia can play the Norwave Gauntlet at the right time, then he can prevent Gabe Vizzle from using the Echo to repeat his ultimate. Can slow down the engage from Cloud9. In fact, can remove that double gauntlet if played well. Tribe really having to play this next team fight perfectly. Both these teams in a position now where this team fight will pretty much dictate the winner of the first game of this series.
Yeah, and Tribe, they're looking for as many points as they can get. They are pretty far behind, but still have some potential to at least make a good showing coming out here in Split 2. And looking for good positioning on this Gabe Vizzle will start to take a little bit of damage. T-Tigers has he overcommitted.
Cloud9 have the positional advantage, but now have to start backing off. They don't want to enter the base of Tribe just yet. Tribe okay to clear the wave and push it back on up. We see this time and time again from Cloud9 when they are looking for the perfect team fight, that rotation down the lane, forcing their opponents to come to them and then backing off, just hoping that one time the misstep comes through. Tribe now up by the tri-bush and Cloud9 ready, so ready to look for a team fight. Gabe Vizzle takes a lot of damage. There's the silence, there's the gauntlet. Dienzio blocking up the Captain Frenzy, and he will get deleted nonetheless. T-Tigers now on the escape, as is Zelsia, who is taking so much damage and will fall in eventually to Joseph's kitty cat. Does go down. Cloud9 going to take away this sentry here. And they will look to take away the Kraken as well, and there's pretty much nothing T-Tigers can do about it.
Yeah, T-Tigers, he was looking to dive that back line, but the side of Cloud9 just charged straight forward. He pretty much missed everybody. He flew over the enemy team, and it left Zeo pretty much vulnerable all on his own. Zelsia was stepping forward, kind of looking to make that initial engagement play. and Cloud9 come out ahead just because of a little bit of mispositioning. It looked like it could have been, you know, a good initial jump with the nether form detonation from T-Tigers, but he just missed the mark, and now it'll be Kraken going over the side of Cloud9. Tribe will have another attempted defense, but they're going to have to wipe Cloud9 very quickly and get back to defend that Kraken.
We'll have to see if they're able to do it here. T-Tiger's a lot of gold in his inventory. Probably looking to purchase up an infusion. Maybe even get himself a piercing shard. I'll be interested to see what his decision is when you have 17,000 gold in your inventory. See that piercing shard now there, and the infusion will come through just in a second. May want to upgrade his boots either. Perhaps not. Crystal Sentry has respawned, but it's just going to avoid the Kraken narrowly. Head on home to work. Cloud9 will just ignore the sentry for now. Their goal is this Vein Crystal, but it's an engage coming out from Zelsia. A gauntlet, not quite placed well. Dienzio escaping, kiting, old school, struggling with T-Tigers, but the Yummy Cabinet Frenzy is blocked. Joseph now trying to find a kill onto Petal. She gets the hill, she finds the return damage. T-Tigers may go down, no, able to escape onto the healing platform, and Cloud9 have been evicted from Tribe's base. The welcoming party is not happy today, as Old School will lose his life as well, and K-Fizzle would just buy time for the Kraken, as he's very tanky, but eventually does fall. Tribe are now looking to race the Kraken. The Kraken has taken the first Vein Crystal turret down to a staggering 1/3 HP. This turret will fall before Tribe even enter the base. There it goes, and now it's onto the Vein Crystal. I think with a pew 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 Petal, they should be okay to win this game here. It's a narrow core from Tribe. Perhaps it's a game-winning core from Tribe as they focus the Vein Crystal and defeat Cloud9 in game 1 of this series.
Beautifully calculated. That is some serious game sense. Just know that you have that much damage to make that play, and you have to know. You have to know and commit to a call like that. So Tribe will take game 1 in spectacular fashion over Cloud9.
Incredible stuff coming through from Tribe. We questioned whether or not this super sub Zelsia would hinder or